Tsutomu Nihe has always been a master of environmental and background design. He has a keen understanding of structures, how light reflects off different materials, sometimes harsh, other times softened through diffusion, how surface textures absorb that light or scatter it back in subtler ways. Nihe's balance of focal points, visual hierarchy, and directional flow is top-tier stuff, but his ability to show off scale within those rules is always a unique treat to read, and in Tower Dungeon, it's no different. As the title suggests, this is a fantasy manga revolving around a tower, one that looms over everything physically and narratively. Its presence alone is enough to command attention, dominating the landscape and the lives lived beneath it. Its first reveal actually reminded me a lot of Arrival when the alien structures first appeared, or even District 9 with the large ship shadowing everyone under its path. The tower floats, revealed through an extreme wide shot, its sheer scale both ominous and strangely mesmerising, enough to make you stop and stare, to take it all in. On paper, the premise sounds like a traditional fairy tale story, very need to save the princess from the tower traditional, and technically it is. It's a rescue mission first and foremost. The story starts with a princess being kidnapped by a necromancer, one who murders the king of the land before fleeing into a floating tower that's 18 kilometers tall, a climb of roughly 50,000 steps. Also, the tower itself has many levels guarded by horrifying monsters and creatures, on top of many floors riddled with numerous hidden passages, making it even more complicated and deliberately confusing. Okay, so maybe not as traditional as first suggested, but a quest nonetheless. With everything at risk, troops are sent to rescue the princess to restore peace within the land. But when continuous groups of soldiers are wiped out, the tower devouring innocence after innocence, desperate measures are demanded. And so, villagers are ordered to send one body to the tower, a sacrifice to increase the efforts of saving the princess. Those who refuse must surrender 20 bushels of grain instead. But with crops already mysteriously failing around the tower, that choice becomes impossible for many, especially for those who rely on the land to survive. Which means that, in a typical storytelling setup, one more person is sacrificed in aid of the princess. And that person is Yuva. Yuva is one of Nihe's most interesting main characters. When the village is told another body must be sent to the tower, Yuva volunteers himself. His sister is too young and his grandparents are too old to be tackling the unfeasible challenge that is the tower. Everyone's already looking at him as a sacrifice. He's strong, young and dependable, so instead of waiting to be chosen, he volunteers himself, wanting to help restore balance within the land and save the princess. He's easily one of Nihe's better protagonists, super perseverant, protective and quick on his feet. I love most of Nihe's work, but one element that is lacking among his dense and amazingly crafted worlds is his character writing. You can tell he prioritises art over story, even infers such himself. I mean, his character writing isn't awful, let me state that. You can definitely see how he's improved over time across multiple projects. The squad of Tower Dungeon is some of his best character writing yet. Yuva the farmer is an enjoyable character. Compared to the trained soldiers and skilled monster hunters he travels and fights with, Yuva is but a simple farmer boy. He's not trained in combat, nor in any way prepared for the vicious monster landscape the tower offers. Because of this, he's completely underestimated by everyone. He's called a bumpkin several times, and written off before he's even proven himself. But what makes Yuva so interesting, and something I love seeing applied in storytelling, or even seeing it in real life, are transferable skills. Look at swimmers and singers. Both train their breath control and train muscles to be flexible. Similar skill set, but for completely different contexts. Or take a surgeon's steady hand to a tattooist's. Yes, Yuva might not be physically trained within a militant role, but being a farmer means being on your feet all day, lugging around heavy objects. It demands strength and endurance from daily manual labour. And that shows in how Yuva carries himself, literally, through the dungeon, where bearing the weight of heavy barrels is light work for him. Also, consistently climbing the endless amount of stairs with uneven flooring is a show of impressive stamina. He's basically doing a normal farmer's day's work, meaning he easily keeps up with the soldiers. Yuva definitely has a sleeper build going on, I just know it. Though I will mention there is a slight caveat to this that I won't spoil, something later in the series that reframes this premise, but as an initial setup I really liked it. Even so, whilst Yuva adapts to the tower more than most, that's not to say he doesn't make mistakes or doesn't come dangerously close to dying. He's constantly tripping and falling, over and over and over again. It's a funny gimmick, but please Lord, someone save this man. It's no wonder Yuva and his companions take regular breaks throughout the manga. The group frequently pauses to recover, and those quiet moments do a great deal of work in showing just how exhausting the journey looks. Honestly, they should have quads of steel. To be travelling as they are, always on high alert, travelling through damp and dark quarters, carrying supplies, on top of climbing an endless amount of stairs, is short of a miracle. It really puts into perspective how practical Laius and the crew in Dungeon Meshi were, eating whatever sustenance they could find along the way. The calorie demand for a journey like this would be enormous, but for a character like Yuva, it's just another regular day. One of the reasons Tower Dungeon works so well is because of Nihe's ability to convey scale and his grotesque creature designs, which have always heightened his horror elements. Both have stayed consistent through his mangaka journey, but in this story in particular, combined to make the tower feel genuinely hostile and exhausting. Almost similar to Yuva's transferable skills, Nihe's non-manga profession within an architectural design firm and experience of working in construction played a massive part in his background design skill set. To quote Nihe in an interview, "I was working part-time for an architectural design firm, and I learned about how the insides of walls are structured. Buildings over 10 stories high are made with steel framing inside, and I know how they're structured. I can draw that stuff without having to look at anything for reference." That right there puts the detailed construction and world building of the tower into context. That sense of scale that's not only enforced by impressive double-page spreads, is shown through the architecture of the walls, the stability in how the tower stands, and how foundational the space feels. The endless staircases spiral through corridors that barely change. Stone walls remain unnervingly uniform, making the environment feel repetitive, camouflaging the real danger of getting lost in a room where every corner looks alike. And during the rarities in which it doesn't feel the same, it's because of wear and tear or decay, signs of explorers who have travelled before them and failed, which makes you wonder, how old is the tower? All of this, mixed with no real sense of day or night once you're inside, would send many people into psychosis. They're already on constant alert, the stone walls carrying echoes from things above and below. The added chronic sleep disruption would grind down not just the body, but the mind too. From an artistic point of view, Nihe isn't a mangaka who focuses on details, or at least for anything other than environments mostly. He doesn't use cross-hatching, a sizable tonal palette, or a variety of different line weights. It's pretty uniform in that sense. His style is simple, using only the same shades of white and black and a single light grey screen tone. Rather, he adds weight and texture to his art through value contrast. Understanding form becomes crucial when working with such a restrained visual palette. Objects have to remain recognisable through contrast alone. Outside the castle, the pages are largely defined by white space, giving the environment room to breathe. Inside the castle, black dominates pages far more, making the space feel compressed. This helps build horror and dread. Shadows shape the walls, darkness claiming most of the structure, and leaving only a small pocket of light to define each step ahead, because the tower hides horrors within its depths. Grotesque characters, beings of death. I'll give props to Nihe for the designs in this story, because multiple times I turned the page and felt my eyebrows raise. The unique dragon designs create a sense of awe, the undead feel overbearing. The basilisk design is one of the coolest and perhaps most chilling fantasy design I've seen in a minute. Truly nightmare-worthy, and as someone scared of moths, I think I'd legit die on the spot. On the other end of the scale, you see the fantasy races and creatures outside of the tower too, a big favourite of mine being Gramna, of which I'm very disappointed people didn't tell me there was a knight in shining armour cat lady who has an endearing dynamic with Yuva's sister Funapa. Traitors. Even Dracomorphs appear in the series, creatures I'm only knowledgeable about through Raid Shadow Legends, which is suitable because this video is sponsored by Raid Shadow. I'm joking. Christ, could you imagine? I'd never do that to you guys. This video is actually sponsored by a much more appropriate company, Walt's Comic Shop. If this video has you wanting to pick up Tower Dungeon or any other manga I've covered on the channel, Walt's Comic Shop is genuinely worth checking out. They're a European-based store that ships internationally at reasonable rates. This time around, I just ordered a few random volumes for myself, just collection fill-in, and everything arrived in pristine condition, as always. Considering the UK has apparently decided to rain every single day of 2026, making sure books arrive dry and undamaged is a must. Walt's packaging is consistently secure and properly cushioned with plenty of bubble wrap, so there are no bent corners, no scuffs, and no moisture damage. They even still have that fresh book smell. All shipments are fully insured and trackable with reliable and easy to reach customer service on the off chance anything does go wrong. They're also putting together curated bundles that pair well with Tower Dungeon and Near fans, which I'll link below. If you do decide to pick anything up, using those links helps support the channel as an affiliate at no extra cost to you. And in March, this month, they're launching Manga Crossover Month, including a manga-focused fanzine and big sales across their site. Also, if you're in the UK or EU, you can use my code LINESINMOTION for free shipping on your first order over £40 or €40. A big thank you to Walt's Comic Shop for sponsoring this video. I'd feel disingenuous praising Tower Dungeon without addressing what is, for me, one of its downfalls, the fanservice. Now, my preference of fanservice is that one scene of Yukina in Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress, or that one Farland scene in Dungeon Meshi. Not ash cheek reveals that completely takes away from the story and character. It just feels misplaced within the story and doesn't do LINESIN any favours. Either don't have it at all, or do a Satoru Noda and give men their fair share of fanservice too. This is a running theme throughout Niehe's work, and every time it just feels unneeded. But after having done some research, I'm actually willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. In a message included within the Japanese Master Edition of Blam Gakugan and so on, Niehe mentions he was pressured to draw more chests or to enlarge boobs on an illustration, despite the original rough draft having men holding guns and no women at all. He would be demanded with requests and instructions that were the opposite of what he wanted to draw. And to further reiterate this, in another interview he said, "Some artists really like girls and draw them all the time. That passion is something that comes from a pretty core place. For me, it's sci-fi. I have buildings and worlds that I want to draw." Now, I don't want to put words in Niehe's mouth, but just from the vibe of both interviews, it seems to me he isn't bothered about drawing fanservice as a priority, and draws it more from editorial pressures to gain more sales. It's not an excuse, but a plausible explanation, given the fanservice does seem out of place whenever it occurs. So I'm willing to suspend judgment towards Niehe, even if it is just there as an attempt at comedy. I will say though, some of the comedy does genuinely land, outside of the fanservice humour. It can definitely lean towards crassness at times, but some of the humour gave me a genuinely good laugh. Niehe's use of facial expressions creates strong beat moments, which I'm grateful for. In his earlier projects, it was sometimes hard knowing what emotions the characters were conveying, but in Tower Dungeon it's far more understandable. The exaggerated, almost Chainsaw Man style reaction faces that pop up here and there are genuinely great. Also, creatures and monsters be damned. Does anyone know how I can apply for Yuva's job? Just asking. No reason whatsoever. Fanservice aside, Tower Dungeon stands as one of Niehe's strongest works. You can genuinely see the progression across his artistic journey, refining the architectural scale he's always been known for, while improving the character work to match it. Yuva isn't seeking glory, he's not bothered about receiving money or rewards for saving the princess, just saving her alone is enough. And it may sound sentimental or cheesy, but what he gains along the way feels far more meaningful than any reward. Connection. Allies. People to call friends, and potentially something else. Hey guys, thanks for watching to the end of the video. As always, I super appreciate it, and I also really appreciate the support that you guys showed because of the whole marriage toxin scenario I had in my last video. Obviously it was taken down, I was given a copyright strike, but everything's back now. It might take a few videos now for YouTube to start to want to push my videos back into the algorithm. It can be quite annoying getting strikes, even if they were wrongly done. So any likes, shares, what have you for this video would be so much appreciated because it's going to need all the boost it can get. I want to give a massive thank you to the sponsor, Walt's Comic Shop. As always, I've put all the links in the description if you want to go ahead and buy the manga yourself. And also a big thank you to my Patreons. A lot of you guys have joined since my last video showing support because of the video scenario. I appreciate that genuinely so much. I think this is the highest my Patreon has been since I've started, and we've welcomed so many new people into the Discord. I could not be happier. So thank you so much, and to the people who also joined the YouTube memberships as well. I could not be more grateful that you guys showed up for me and just helped out. Like, genuinely, I don't have the words. It was so kind to see. So thank you so much for that. I've been wanting to cover Nihe on the channel for quite a while, but so many people had done absolutely amazing videos of Blam that I feel like I could never even try to get as good as, and people have covered his other series as well, but not too many have covered Tower Dungeon. I know a few have, but I don't know, I just really wanted to cover it because it's on K-Manga, so it's really easy to read, pretty accessible, and yeah, I enjoyed it. So I will be catching you guys in the next one, which I'm hoping shouldn't be long because of the whole Itchy the Witch scenario as well. This video got pushed back, so I should be back on track now with video releases. But until then, I'll catch you guys in the next one.